This is South Korea's $2 billion 7 Circles of Hell. It reproduces the terrifying criminal law in hell. I didn't expect him to come out. It took second place at the Korean box office. No one who has seen it will dare to see it again. The story begins. A fireman had an accident while fighting a fire. He fell from a great height. Before landing, he clutched the little girl he had just saved to his chest. It is strange that he was all right. The rescued girl ran to her parents. The fireman got up and went over to say hello. Who knows, the parents only care about their own daughter. The fireman spoke to them, but no one paid him any attention. Then he heard someone calling to him. The fireman looked around. Under a dangerous building, he saw 2 men dressed in black. The fireman shouted at them to leave, but he turned his head and froze. There he saw himself lying on the ground. Judging by the reaction of his teammates, he's dead. Just then 2 men in black came up to the fireman. Start introducing yourself. It turns out they're Hellbringer, and a man is what they're looking for. I've never seen such a heroic death before. That was 422 years ago. The girl gave the fireman 2 thumbs up. Next they're gonna take him to hell. Firefighters can't accept. He hadn't said goodbye to his mother properly, but the next second, the fireman's feet were suspended. There was a huge shadow behind him, and then he was dragged to hell. Hell is full of freshly dead souls. Here he will be judged for the 7 deadly sins. All are not guilty until they are reincarnated, but firefighters don't want to be reincarnated. He just wanted to go home to his mother. 3 Hellraisers meet. The third emissary is a man who looks a mature middle-aged man, and the eldest of the other 2. The 3 men led the fireman to the gates of hell. The gates of hell open. A giant word appeared above it. The girl shouted excitedly. He was a very righteous soul, but I didn't think. The first layer they came to was a murderous hell. The judgments in hell are from light to heavy. This means that homicide is the least of the crimes a firefighter can commit. A fireman who saves lives all day. He was accused of murder. The fireman retorted that he had never killed anyone, but the messenger explained, if you get caught up in your behavior or cyberbullying, indirectly causing death, and you will be found guilty. Suddenly the flagstone under the fireman's feet cracked, turned into a lava volcano. He looked down the crack. Countless souls are being burned. They're all people who committed murder in their lives. The fireman could not bear to prepare for the rescue, but he just grabbed a guy's arm. Get ready to pull him up. I saw a man with an ugly face, shouted at him. He is the master of the murderous hell. He confronted the fireman. Why in the middle of a firefight? Give up trying to save your colleagues, causing the innocent deaths of colleagues who could have been saved. The fireman was choked with guilt. The 2 judges agreed. He accused the fireman of being cowardly. He was about to be sentenced. That's when the Hellbringer, defending the firefighters, stepped in. He restored the truth of the matter. It turned out the situation was critical. The building is in danger of collapsing at any moment. My colleague asked the fireman to go first. Save yourself at the end. Firefighters saved 8 lives that day, but just as he was about to rescue his colleague, the building collapsed anyway. After knowing everything, the king decided that the fireman was not guilty, and removed a boulder from the firefighter's chest. Good people will always blame themselves for not doing well enough. Next they took a boat across the river Styx, to the next level of hell, Laziness Hell. This is a place to judge people who waste their time and their lives. King Chu Jeong of Hell. He just dropped the charges against the firefighters. Because he has been working hard, he'd risk his life to save a cat. King Jeong of Chu was very moved. Even in my own hell, erect a bronze statue of a fireman. Finally, King Chu asked the fireman, what makes you want to help people at the risk of life and death? In the eyes of King Chu Jeong full of hope, the fireman said it was for money. There is a. Everyone was shocked. King Chu Jeong's face became cold. The emissaries were alarmed. Because money is called a false god in hell, it is also sinful to believe in him. Your Majesty commands. The fireman's bamboo cut was pushed out. He turned his head hurriedly. Under the falls came a terrifying sight. There was a huge millstone full of people. They run and run. If the millstone catches up with it, it will be crushed. Lazy people once come here. You can only run forever. It's a punishment for wasting their lives. The firemen were scared. 2 hells jumped down and grabbed the raft. He asked King Chu Jeong to see the life of a fireman again. Turns out he worked a lot of jobs. Waitressing at a kebab shop after work. Scrub the floor in the bathhouse on weekends. Not even half the night off. I started driving for him. And all this. All for my sick mother. And his brother, who is still at school. He sent them every penny he earned. Until just before his death. Firefighters never take a day off. King Chu Jeong was moved. He found the fireman not guilty. Then they went on. On the way to the 3rd level of hell, there was an accident. They encountered a lot of ghastly-looking souls. 2 Hellbringer conjured up weapons to defend the fireman, while the dead are being killed. The emissary told the fireman, you have a loved one who died wrongly. He became a ghost. That's what started hell. The fireman panicked. His first thought was of his frail mother. I finally put it behind me. The leading emissary decided to explore the earth, find out who's been turned into a ghost. He went to the fireman's house to check it out. He ran into his mother. The mother is still alive. He was puzzled by the sudden intrusion of the emissary. Ask him in sign language who he is. Turns out the firefighter's mother can't talk. The messenger turned his head and squeezed out a few tears, lied to his mother about being the firefighter who saved him before he died, heard about his accident and wanted to see him. Mother's eyes were red. He hugged the messenger to comfort him and to comfort himself. At the same time, the emissary finally discovered it was the firefighter's brother who died. The ghost of the younger brother saw the messenger and fled instantly. Seeing this, the emissary rushed in pursuit, but the brother got away anyway. The messenger then went to the camp where his brother had lived. The truth of his death was soon found out. Turns out my brother was on duty a few days ago. The recruit's gun accidentally went off and shot him. The recruit quickly called for the halfback, but the defender saw his brother fall to the ground. I'm afraid it will affect my promotion and salary. Decided to get rid of the body secretly. Panicked, 2 people did not find. The younger brother was still alive. That's what they do to keep his conscious brother alive. My brother was buried in the ground for a whole day. After his death, his soul turned into a ghost, and the center half wanted to keep his nose clean, lied about his brother deserting the army, and the recruits live in fear and guilt. He was out of his mind all day. I go to the bar and drink in the evening. The emissary followed the recruit. I saw the ghost that had been following him. He was even going to bring down the chandelier and kill the recruits. Again, the emissary intervened. He finally tied him to the pylon with a rope, but the spirit is too angry. His explosion of anger shut down the entire district. Then he broke free and ran away. The ghost that escaped has been following the recruits. He found recruits entering his mother's house. The new recruit finally succumbed to his conscience. He decided to tell his mother where his brother's body was, and he himself decided to die for it. The recruit put his head on a rope and hanged himself. Who knows the ghost at this time but appeared behind the messenger. He asked the emissary to save the recruit, on the condition that he doesn't run away again. The messenger agreed. The recruit was rescued. The younger brother told the emissary to tell the recruits, better live in the future. I don't blame him anymore. After the recruit said yes, the younger brother's anger was also calmed. But on the other side, the firemen barely made it through 3 layers of hell. They are respectively made by the king of Mount Tai, a hell of lies in charge. People who lie here will have their tongues pulled out. A hard hell with 5 faces in charge. The prisoners here are all on ice. And the hell of treachery run by the Song Emperor. Every prisoner in here is trapped in a mirror. The firemen all passed one by one. But when they come to violent hell, the firefighters are in trouble. The original. He beat his younger brother for no reason in high school. The younger brother was severely malnourished. There was no fighting back, and the fireman left home after he beat up his brother. So he has never been forgiven by his brother. The king of violent hell then condemned the fireman. The criminal law will soon be enforced. Saw the fireman in danger. There are 2 hellraisers left, and hastened to connect with the leading emissary. The lead emissary was busy with the body of the fireman's brother. There's no time to get there. He told the girl to file for a combined trial between this hell and the last hell. A combined trial. But there is a price to pay. If he doesn't get through the trial, he will suffer the punishment of both hells, and shall never exceed his birth, even the hellbringer who defended it, and be deprived of the chance to be reincarnated. But there is simply no other way. But on the other side, a mother who can't speak. It turns out that the location on the map is the barracks. So he believes his son is not a deserter. The old man rushed into the camp to look for his son, but it was seen by the center half. He tore the sign off his mother's body. She was ordered out of the camp. Mother is not willing to. She pulled out the map the recruit had given her. That's where my son was buried. Now the halfback panicked. He pushed his mother hard. The mother fainted. My brother, who had let go of his hatred, saw this. I couldn't contain my anger any longer. The skin began to peel off his face. He became a ghost again. The emissary tried to stop it. He grabbed her by the neck and threw her out. My brother was a gigantic ghost, a cloud of dust. He vowed to punish the center half. All hell broke loose in the camp. The center half was flung into the air. The hellbringer rushed to stop it, but no match at all. No one can do it in front of a son, to hurt his mother. But on the other side, because my brother is making trouble on earth, the older brother was also affected. Hell also blows the dust of the sky. The fireman sank into the sand. He fell slowly. It was quickly buried. Just then the younger brother heard the girl's desperate cry. He looked up and saw his brother. Taking advantage of my brother's stupor, the emissary quickly trapped him. The crisis is over. At the same time, the firemen, they finally came to the last hell, Tianluan Hell. This is the worst crime a firefighter can commit. From what he did to his family, the ruler here is testified by the king of hell himself. He won't even give the firemen a chance to defend themselves. Find him guilty straight away. Turns out the night the fireman beat up his brother, he was also about to kill his own mother with a pillow, because mother fell into a coma and lost consciousness. 2 young children can't support a home. The fireman decided to take his family with him, but the younger brother stopped him. After that night, the fireman left his home with a lot of guilt for his family. He never went back in 15 years, just trying to make money to send it back. Everyone thought the brother was the only one who knew, but the king of hell said, mother actually woke up that night. He knows everything. Firefighters who heard about it broke down. He knelt down and took all the blame. But before we do that, the fireman just wanted to say sorry to his mother. He cried for death, but the king of hell ignored his request for killing his own mother. How is that possible? At this moment, all hell shook. It was a dream of the dead, younger brother with the help of the emissary. Into the mother's dream, he told his mother, I'm about to be a judge in the sky. The younger brother said goodbye to his mother in sign language through tears, and then he told me what happened that night. He wanted to ask his mother to forgive his brother, in exchange for a chance to reincarnate his brother. That idiot feels guilty about mom. Too afraid to go home to work too hard. Send money back. Just like an idiot. This went on for a lifetime. For mother and for him. While my brother was crying. It was the first time the sons had heard their mother speak. Mother knows everything, you know. He reassured his brother that nothing was wrong. Mother had never blamed her brother. Instead, you put all the blame on yourself. Mother and son hugged each other tightly. It was a scene that moved everyone. The fireman ran over crying. He knelt on the ground and called for his mother. The firemen have been forgiven. Then the underworld has no right to convict him. At last the fireman was given the chance to be reincarnated. We have so many regrets in life. We tend to struggle, trying to make things better for my family, and forget that what families need most is companionship. If you have another chance, then please turn companionship into a precious gift. Give it to your family who need it most.